In this video, you're going to learn about how we recovered a local business from a ransomware attack, how we identified not one, but two negligent IT service providers, and how we're now protecting the business from cyber attack going forward. I'm Greg Defoe, owner and managing director of Defoe IT Solutions. We're a managed IT and cybersecurity provider based in the UK. So, back at the beginning of May 2023, the day before the weekend of the King's Jubilee, we were contacted by another local IT service provider requesting that we attend one of their customers' sites to help them troubleshoot a complete network down situation. It transpired that the service provider, who was a one-man band, he'd gone on vacation to Miami and was unable to offer any level of support to the customer. Therefore, as a complete last resort, he picked up the phone to us to see if we would be able to help. Being the professional and nice guys we are, always willing to help in a business critical situation, we dispatched one of our technicians to troubleshoot and try to resolve the issues the customer was having. At this stage, we didn't have a clue what we were walking into. Within 20 minutes of being on site, it was apparent there'd been a ransomware attack. They weren't in a good situation at all. Before any troubleshooting was done, the first port of call was to isolate the network from the internet and all of the remote workers, just by simply pulling the plug on the firewall to disconnect the internet connection. If the attack was still underway, this would have stopped it in its tracks. It basically cut the connection from the attackers to the local network. Once more troubleshooting had been done, it was clear to see that all of the data on the network was encrypted and inaccessible. This data included Word and Excel documents, databases, the entire manufacturing system, as well as the Sage finance and payroll systems. Ransom notes were left on the server asking for payment of a ridiculous amount of Bitcoin in order for the data to be decrypted, which just wasn't an option, so we needed to hope that the company had working backups and that the system in place was decent and robust enough to recover all 4 servers and all of the data to a reasonable point in time to allow the company to continue trading. Fortunately, or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, 3 out of the 4 servers had a working backup. Now, a cyber attack is much like a crime scene, and therefore, as much evidence as possible should be preserved after the attack, as this may be required by the cyber insurance company in order to make a successful claim. With that in mind, we took the backup device back to our offices, where we had a spare disaster recovery server, just ready and waiting to be recovered to, and the long recovery process commenced. Whilst one of our team was back at the office recovering the servers, our head of cybersecurity, Darius, was on site at the company investigating how the attack occurred so that we can resolve the security vulnerability before reintroducing the recovered servers and data back onto the network. We installed Sentinel-1, the industry-leading endpoint detection and response product, onto all user devices on the network and scanned the devices for known malware. We also used our vulnerability management software, CyberCNS, to identify any internal vulnerabilities on the network, allowing us to resolve them one by one. Now, ransomware attacks can happen by a number of different means. However, 2 of the most common ways are via email, where a user's clicked on a link or an attachment they shouldn't have and just simply allowed ransomware onto the network. And the other is via an open firewall, which, if administered correctly, should never ever happen. However, not all IT service providers are created equal. There's still thousands of cowboys out there who just don't understand the basics of cybersecurity. In this instance, unfortunately, it was the latter that was the case. Upon investigating the firewall, we found that all of the remote access ports were completely open to the whole of the internet, which is unbelievable in itself. But even more unbelievable when you realise that this company had actually had 2 previous IT service providers. The first provider were the ones that left the firewall open to the internet, and the second provider had documented the fact the firewall was open to the internet, but had done absolutely nothing about it, this cyber attack. Once we'd identified this, we simply closed the firewall ports. We then got in touch with the internet service provider and we had them change the company's external IP address. And this meant that if cyber attackers felt the need to target this company again, they wouldn't even be able to find them. Their address had completely changed. In the meantime, back at our offices, due to the poor backup software that was used to back up the servers, it took us the best part of 2 days over a weekend to recover them onto our disaster recovery hardware. Once recovered, however, and after we'd taken care of all of the vulnerabilities on the network, we returned the servers to the customer site and got all users, including the remote users, up and running. Absolute heroes. In total, thanks to us and the long bank holiday weekend for the King's Jubilee, this customer only experienced 1.5 business days worth of downtime. And despite only having 3 out of 4 server backups, they'd been wise enough to have been taking a manual backup of their manufacturing system, which was located on the 4th server. Therefore, they experienced 0 data loss. However, it could have been much, much worse. A key takeaway from this situation is that not all IT service providers are created equal, and therefore factors such as the number of resources a service provider has, their depth of knowledge and experience, the tools they use, and some of the customer references, they should be considered over and above cost. Low cost usually compensates for something, and would you risk that something being your business? If you enjoyed this story, and there's plenty more to come, please click the like and the subscribe button. And for help and advice with your IT infrastructure and cybersecurity, then please get in touch. The contact details are in the video description, and we'll see you in the next one.